Hey there, I'm Erica Johns from enrichmentstudies.com, and I've got a thing on my heart today that I wanted to talk about. Has nothing to do with my business. This is just a very parent-to-parent thing that I want to bring up today. I've been thinking about. It's really interesting when you start out your parenting journey and your kids are little. There's lots of places for you to talk about what's going on. You've got your temper tantrums, you got your breastfeeding, you got your sleep issues, you got potty training and car seat safety and all those things, and funny things that your kids do and not funny things, but like things you need help with, just all that kind of stuff. When they're little, there's so many places where you can talk about it, where you can vent about it, where it's kind of funny, and it's just socially acceptable to talk through these things. But an interesting shift, a necessary shift, happens as our kids become teenagers and adults, and that is that we need to honor their privacy. And that is as it should be. And it's really important that your kids know that their life is not going to be broadcast on social media or your blog or whatever, unless I suppose they give you permission. But, home needs to be a safe place, and they deserve their privacy. The trick is that as your kids get older, they will be confronting high stakes issues in life. This is where all the biggies come in. This is where, they stop being safe in your nest all the time, and they start going out into the world, and they start to expand and understanding themselves and the world around them, and they're making independent decisions, and they're starting to figure out for themselves what they believe and how they live and what choices are right for them and who they are. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And the challenging part as a parent is that there isn't necessarily an obvious place for us to go for help or support or to know what to do. And it really doesn't matter how many kids you have or how long you've been a parent. Each person is on their own journey. And so you're likely to be dealing with some familiar territory and some completely new territory with each and every one of your children. I have 6 children. They're all adults now. My youngest just turned 18. So my kids are now 18 to 28. And we've been through all sorts of different things with them. They're all great kids, and I adore them, and they're a lot of fun, and I enjoy my relationships with my kids. But that doesn't mean that it's been without its moments. And I've just been thinking about this a lot recently, about how important it is for us to be willing to reach out to a safe person, safe support people, so that we aren't completely isolated, so that we have some support and some wisdom, and we're not just dealing with everything that's coming at us by ourselves. And then the flip side to this is how very crucially important it is for us to develop within ourselves the ability to be that safe person for our friends and loved ones. And by being a safe person, I mean someone who can keep their mouth shut, who isn't going to gossip, who isn't going to share in the form of a prayer request, somebody that can be the vault for their friend that trusted them with perhaps something pretty sensitive. And also that you can be a safe person that can understand with humility and wisdom that people go through their stuff, that kids go through their stuff, that they struggle, and that they don't deserve your judgment and your fear and your, forever stamp of this kid did a bad thing and I don't want them around my kid. You have to cultivate the ability to be that person for other people. Right now, if you have kids, if you know kids that are 13 and older, whether they're your relatives, someone you go to church with, someone in your homeschool group, your friends' kids, whatever, I guarantee you within that group, you've got kids that are dealing with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, substance issues, sexuality, personal identity, fears about their future. There's so much. That's just a few. And I don't mean to paint it as such a gloomy picture, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of kids going through a lot of hurting things, and there's a lot of parents who are very, very concerned about their kids, who probably don't know who to talk to and maybe don't have those resources. It can be a tough thing. I want to encourage all of us, if you've got friends with kids that are teens and young adults, if you've cultivated within yourself the ability to be a safe person, and if you have the personal wherewithal to help bear somebody else's burdens, if you will, I'd encourage you to just reach out to a friend, text them or call them and just say, hey, I know things can be tough, and if you ever have a need for a friend to listen to what's going on with your kids or your marriage or your finances or some, sensitive thing that people get really ashamed and really embarrassed about talking about, offer to be that person for them. Offer to open up that conversation. Maybe you make an arrangement with a friend that you're going to do that for each other. Everybody's dealing with something at some point or another. And it's really interesting, especially when you're a person that's going through an experience like that, to realize how much nobody's going to ask you. No one's going to say, well, they might ask you how your kids are, but what they're expecting to hear is, oh, they're doing great, they're working, they got a girlfriend, they're doing just, enrolled in college, whatever. It's the old, how you doing? Good, great, yay, have a good day. But yeah, there's always more going on under the surface, sooner or later. Nobody asks you, how's your marriage? How are you guys doing? No one says, no one asks how your finances are. Nobody asks about the sensitive topics, the private topics. And the thing is, there's an interesting saying that I heard years ago, that which is most personal is most universal. We can get so isolated with the things that are going on with us, and that's not good. So I want you to try to be the safe person for someone else. I want you to figure out who might be a safe person or persons for you. And I want you to reach out to somebody that you think might need it. Not as pressure, not because you want to be up in their business, not because you're nosy. If you know you're nosy, don't do this. Just don't do it. But if you have a heart for wanting to reach out to your friends and help somebody be less isolated. See if you can put a hand out there and say, hey, if you need a safe place, I'm willing. And I would love to know if you have ideas of ways that you've been able to bridge this gap, either for yourself or for someone else. I would love to hear about it. I feel like this is something that doesn't get talked about enough. So I'd really love to see some more thoughts about this come forward. That's it. Let's be brave enough to not be isolated.